Hello, and thanks so much for tuning in to the Only Jesus podcast, where we will be talking about life behind the scenes in ministry, true stories of God's faithfulness, practical ministry tips, and so much more. We can't wait to explore these topics with you and celebrate the things only Jesus can do. With your host, Tim Mullins.
Hey, welcome back to the Only Jesus podcast. With me, your host, Tim Mullins, where we talk about ministry, life, family, pretty much everything that goes with ministry and the things that only Jesus can help us with. So today, my guest is, she's a mom, she's a businesswoman, she's in the ministry, she works with youth, she works with young adults. She wears pretty much every hat you can wear in the church. My guest, Whitney Berg. So pleased to have you on today.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Here in cold Destin, Florida. Like, what is up with your guys' weather?
I don't know. I feel like all the snow that's happening up north is trying to blow its way down here. And
We brought it with us.
No.
We didn't want to. Like, we were trying to get away from it.
True. You poor thing.
My kids' lips were blue coming out of the ocean.
Gosh.
I didn't get in. I don't
No.
do that. No.
No.
I scare young children when I get in the water.
Oh, stop.
It's not good. But tell us, who is Whitney? Like, your life right now with, who are you? Like,
So, my name is Whitney Berg. I've been married for 15 years to my husband, who's also on staff here at Shoreline Church.
I'll be honest, I was kind of shocked when I first met you that you guys have been married that long.
Yeah?
Like, I thought you guys were newlyweds.
I'll take
But
it.
that's a good thing. That's a
I'll
good
take
thing.
it.
Yes. Her husband is absolutely amazing. He does
No.
so much.
He really, really
Very
does.
talented. Yes. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Married to my husband, Bradley, for 15 years. We have 4 kids together. Gavin, who is 14, and then we have Guinevere, who is 11. Gatlian is 10, and Gunnar is almost 8.
Okay. Your 14-year-old looks a lot older than 14. I seen him Sunday. I thought he was older than that.
No, that would mean we had him before we got married, and we got married at 18.
Not.
No, we didn't.
Did not.
We waited 3 whole months to get pregnant, okay?
Yeah, that's funny.
It is funny. But so here at Shoreline, I am the business assistant. So my day job is working with a lot of numbers and spreadsheets and making sure everyone's budgets are where they're supposed to be. I'm the keeper of receipts and keeper of time. But then in the ministry part, I am... we just started a young adults ministry. My husband and I, Pastor Eric and Darlene, came to us and asked if...
And you're kind of building that from the ground up, correct?
Yep, we've never had that.
Awesome.
It's kind of exciting.
Yes, it is.
Right? Like as soon as they brought it to us, I was like, yes, yeah, that
Why
sounds
not?
great. I've done so many other things. Like it feels right.
Yeah.
And so I do that. And then in our sisterhood, which is our ministry for women.
That's what we call ours too.
Yeah, the sisterhood.
Yeah.
I love it. So there I am the community care. And I just get to love on the women. I get to pray over the room. I get to sit down with them for coffee and just kind of give them that pastoral care. And so that's what I do here.
So you stay busy with home and church and
yes. I also am going to school at Bethel University in Minnesota.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I don't commute there, but
so you are very, very busy.
Yes.
That's impressive. I don't think I could do all those things that I struggle just doing one thing at a time.
Oh.
So.
Aren't we all hot messes, though? It's good.
You do church in Destin, Florida. I talked to your pastor just a few days ago. And so I asked him the same question. I'll ask you.
Okay.
Everybody thinks, dream job. You work in Florida. We have some people yelling around us. This is what you get from recording.
That's too funny.
Hey, it happens. But we, think... of course God sent you to Destin. I mean, really? Like, come on. That's like getting sent to Hawaii to be a missionary.
Yeah.
But there's some challenges that come along with having church in Florida. We heard the pastors. What are kind of your thoughts on, like, what are the challenges of having church? Like, it's not all just beaches and waves here, right?
No, it's definitely not, because we're dealing with people on a day-to-day basis, right? And
Yeah.
people are messy. It's just the facts of life. Nobody can be like Jesus. We can try every day.
Right.
But like the reality is that people come in with their stuff. And it's very interesting to be here because there's there are locals. There are some that are born and raised here, but there's a lot of people that are transplants.
Yeah.
We have military. We have just people who came here on vacation, and then they decided to move here because they're trying to start over, do something new, do something different. And so we end up encountering them and all of their different stories.
Yeah.
And that's past church hurts. That's past, child wounds, right? Like ministry is kind of messy.
So it's not really any different
No.
here than it is anywhere else.
Right?
Like, it's just a better view of.
I mean,
Yeah.
I love it here.
Yeah, it is.
It's quite
It is beautiful. And so your personal journey with ministry, how did you come into the church? Like, I heard a little bit of this the other day from somebody else besides you of your journey.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, doing my
curious to what
research,
they said.
just filling it out. But no, kind of give me your trip to like how you got where you are at now.
Okay.
Like you didn't grow up in church, correct? Or did you?
Off and on.
Okay.
Off and on. So my mom found Jesus when I was like 3, and I told her I know. And so I kind of feel like Jesus has always been with me.
Yeah.
But then through like you live with your parents. So it was when she would stop going to church, and then I would go with a friend, and then high school, I just did my own thing. And then Brad and I got married. We had our first baby, and we were living in Colorado because he was in the military. And a friend invited me to MOPS. And I was like, okay.
What is MOPS?
So MOPS stands for Mothers of Preschoolers.
Okay.
And so I was...
It makes sense. It's in the name.
It is. Yeah. It is. But so I was like, oh, okay, what is this? So I think I had Gavin, and I was pregnant with Gwenny. And so I put it into the MapQuest, like the address. I know, it ages me right there. Right? Does it not? I printed it out.
Hey, for me, it would have been opening up the map, and so it's not that bad.
True. But so I did that, and I ended up pulling up to a church, and I was like, oh, okay. So I can get my kid out, and we go in, and it was like this community of women. I think there was like 60 to 70 women there, and they all kind of at the tables, and like it was just a touch of Jesus, but
Yeah.
it was mostly community oriented. And so I was like, okay. And then within a year, I just felt this call to serve with them and to be a part of their leadership team.
It was amazing.
And so I just like, okay. So Brad had deployed, and I was going to start this thing. I'm like, if he's going to be gone, I want to throw myself into this. So I started like leading a table. There was like 8 women. I get to call on them and check on them, and it was really cool. And I loved my time there. And so I think I spent like 3 years doing that. And then I moved here. And so it's like I did MOPS, but I didn't necessarily do church.
Right.
And so when we moved here, I remember we were 10 days in. We were staying at this little TLF, which is called a temporary living facility within the military.
Okay, that's military.
Yes.
Okay.
TLF. And so it's like a 1-bedroom place, and we had all 4 of the kids, and I'm laying there in bed, everyone's sleeping, and I'm like, so I Googled non-denominational church. Like, where are we going to pull up? And so
I think that should be put under like non-threatening too. Like there should be
know.
a few categories for that.
like, because all I saw were Baptist churches, Methodist churches.
Yes.
We're in the South.
Yeah.
So I didn't, and I'm from Portland, Oregon. So I'm like, all I know is non-denominational. So I Googled that, and Shoreline was one of the first ones that popped up. So I clicked on it, and they just had pictures of like worshiping, but yet there was tattoos on people. I'm
Right.
like,
Yeah.
Okay. So I found the church, but then it took me a while to like convince everyone to come. So I think it was our very first Sunday was December of 2014.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, 2013. I lied because we just hit our 7-year anniversary. So we walked in the doors, and it's like they played a cover song, which was Red Hot Chili Peppers, and the pastor stepped on stage, and he's like sleeves of tattoos, and I'm like, okay. And so, and I mean, from there, it's like the people were warm. They were encouraging community.
Very welcoming here, yes.
And so it was just something I hadn't experienced before, because any church that I'd been to in the past, it felt like you had to wear a church face.
Right.
Right?
Yes,
Like,
totally understand.
it's something where you are one person here, but you got to have all your stuff together.
Right. And it doesn't matter what denomination or it's across the board. That's what it feels like a lot of times.
Often.
Yes.
That's at least been my experience.
Right, yes.
And this was just like not that.
Yeah.
This felt authentic, and like I could just show up and be a hot mess.
It's so good.
And then I was accepted right there.
Because we're all a hot mess.
Aren't we?
I mean, as we talked before, like,
Yes,
like
we are. And if
lot
we're
of
trying
it-
to be anything different, you're just trying,
Yes.
right? It's not reality.
yes, I think it was Jim Carrey, maybe. He said a quote. He said, "The older I get, I realize looking back that we're all just faking it. None of us know what we're doing." So
Yes.
that's the truth.
It is. And so, like, we just started serving once we got here. I've worked in the nursery. I've worked in the 2 to 3 year old room. I ended up bringing mops to Shoreline
Oh wow!
because it
So the
made,
thing that got you
yes,
in the church,
yes.
that is so.
I ended up bringing it here because I just saw like what it did for me. And it's an outreach ministry. So it's not just for people within a church. It's like you put it out on their website and then you can put it in like the military spouse pages and stuff. And so we ended up just creating this melting pot of around 65 women that would just come and let
That
their
is
guard
so
down.
good.
Yeah.
And the thing is, one thing you said through that is kind of what I got from that is as churches or as people in church, we've been taught over the years to, when Jesus gets a hold of you, it's like instant. Like, preaching on the street corner with a bullhorn, somebody just runs out and they're delivered and they're good. And we've been taught that so much. And I don't think it's like, not with bad intentions, but we've just been taught that, all that stuff should happen immediately. And, those stories are common. Like that is how it should be. And the reality of it is most of us come to Jesus more like you did through relationships. It takes time. Like,
Yes.
putting the friends around you, planting the seeds and that relation, like that's ministry. It's
true.
We're in America. We want the easy way. Like we want the drive-through salvation
Quick fix.
and just get it. But a lot of times it takes work.
Yeah.
Like
and time.
and it don't always work.
Right? So like when you plant a seed, say it's a seed for a tree, an avocado tree, for example. It takes
Ew.
7 years to produce fruit, right?
I did not know that.
Yes. So it's like you don't get that immediate reaction. It's you plant the seed and then you have to water it and you have to tend to it and you you fertilize it, you do all this stuff, but it takes 7 years to produce the fruit.
And then sometimes you don't even get to see the fruit of it. Like
that true?
somebody else gets come in and harvest that. So like if you're not seeing it, somebody is. Like
true.
don't get discouraged just because you're putting all this time in and you're not seeing like God is working. He's not going to let you do anything that doesn't work. Like he's not going to let your work go unfruitful. Like somebody's going to reap it. Somebody's life's going to be changed. And God is moving in that. And
Sometimes
so just
it
when
just
you're
takes
talking about
time.
that just is like, that's so true.
It's good.
So you're living in Destin, you're working for the church now. You had
Yep.
went through that. Now you're on staff and you're doing all these different things. And like you said, you do business, youth ministry, just started young adults. Young adults. Now your husband works in youth ministry also.
He
correct?
does. Our youngest is not old enough to participate, so I use that time to do homework and hang out with him.
Nice. So you're still doing youth ministry, just, with
It
your own
looks a
kid
little
at
different.
home.
Yes, the first line of my ministry, my family.
Yeah. So speaking of ministry, like you are very much in the everyday battle of ministry. Now, but that wasn't always like life didn't turn out exactly like you thought it was going to, correct?
No.
And so walk us through that. Like what was your plan, before God got involved and changed things for you?
Isn't that funny? See, he told you to ask that. So Brad was in the military. We had 10 years. We got here. And then we actually had talked about going back home to Portland, Oregon. And I never felt at peace with it. It's like, we were kind of dabbling in here. We had a really great community that was always at our house. And it was, it just felt, I never felt settled with the idea of going back. And so then Brad was like, he was really getting into brewing beer. And so, and back in Portland, there's breweries everywhere. So I was like, well, if we're going to start a brewery, it would probably make more sense to do it here. Like, that's the plan. That's what we're going to do. So we got out of the military and my brother moved here because him and Brad were going to start the brewery together. And I was going to go to school back then thinking the GI Bill, which is something we paid into for a while for schooling, we thought it would transfer to me so then I could get paid to still stay home with my kids and go to school. That didn't happen. Turns out he couldn't transfer it to me. And so I was like, well, I'm going to work. I guess I'm just going to, it's just going to be a short time. You're going to do the brewery and then I can do what I want to do. So I went into the service industry, working as a waitress at Rockin' Tacos and,
were the tacos good?
They were really
Were they
good.
rocking?
Turns out I love queso and I had no idea. It is my favorite thing. So I ended up doing that. And it was like every time we were would work towards the brewery, something would come up. It even I think we were 2 years into the process of trying to make this work. And I ended up getting a job here and I'm like, okay. So I gave up the Rockin' Tacos and I'm like, well, I took this job and I'm like, I want to be in ministry. You can do the brewery thing and I'm going to stay here and I'll be support. Pray for you.
I'll cheer you on.
Yes, exactly. And he's like, well, I thought we were going to do this together. And I don't know how I feel about having my kids in a bar.
Right.
When I started to really think about it, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. And so it was October 2019. So we're 2 years into this. Brad had already been out. We were going to do this brewery and there was this building that came available. It's right by our house. They walked through it. They ended up getting this loan for it. And then we kept coming up to obstacle after obstacle to get this thing going. And that one fell through. So I'm like, okay. Okay. I don't know what else to do here. And Brad was already on staff here at the church. And it's like, maybe we need to just surrender this idea, this dream, and pray and see what God wants for us. Right? What?
I heard about this prayer thing and I think it might work. But we all do that. You can judge all you want, but we all do that.
It's easy to get wrapped up in your own stuff.
Yes.
And you're like, he's leading me here, but that's not talking to him.
Right.
That's going with your feelings. And,
yeah, exactly. I love that. Yes. So keep going. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So we ended up we're just going to be right where we're at and we're going to give it all we have. So that was the first surrender. We're going to surrender the dream. And then about a year later, so our anniversary is October 1st. And this October, it was our 15-year anniversary. And we decided that we were going to do this fast together. And then this devotional, which I absolutely love. So it was our gift to each other was to truly pour into our marriage and to bring God into the center of it we never really had before. Because we're homegrown, right? We dabbled in all the things and we served and we did all the things, but trying to navigate truly having God in the center of all of it was something very new to us because of past experience, all of it. And so October 2020, we're 15-year anniversary. I'm like, okay, God, let's pray. We're going to pray about what you want for us now because we gave up our dreams, but now we're feeling the stirring, we need to do something more. Yeah. And so we just nightly are praying for, maybe it's our kids, maybe the kids are what we're supposed to be pouring into. We're praying over our home. We're praying over the future. We're praying all
just
the
looking
things.
for what it might be. Yes.
Give us the signs. And then we took this family trip to North Carolina for Christmas. And it just felt so refreshing. And there was a shift happening because I used to be the coordinator for sisterhood. And then I ended up shifting to just be the community care. And I felt good with that. I'm like, school's about to start. Yes. And then when we got back from our trip, Pastor Eric and Darlene asked us out for dinner. And we had a great time. We got to talk and we hung out. And
so how nervous was it when you got asked out by the pastor?
It's
are we in trouble?
First question, am I in trouble? No? Okay, I'm good. I'm excited now.
I think that's across the board. I think that's the feeling. Even with the greatest pastors, when they ask you, hey, can you come eat with me? I'm like, oh man, people get yelled at over food.
I know. If they think it softens the blow, I think.
Yeah.
So, that was first question. That wasn't it. So I'm like, okay, great. So we just ended up talking the entire time, hanging out. And then it was at the end. They're like, how do you guys feel about young adults, the young adults ministry? And they kind of shared their thoughts and ideas about the the generation that's kind of missed over here because this is a tourist place.
You're
and
right.
so like I worked in Rockin' Tacos. I know that they're not coming to church on Sunday morning because that's a great day for tips.
Right. That's when they're working.
Yes. They are all working. And so, and Brad actually, in the time of our transition, we did so much. He worked over at a local Destin restaurant called Land Shark Pizza.
Yeah.
And so we both got to experience the culture and what ends up happening with that generation.
So you knew the need.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so they brought it to us and it just fit. And we got home and it's like we're both excited. And I'm like, this makes sense, right? Like, okay, this is what we've been praying for. Like God is answering our prayers right now. And so we just started dreaming and planning. And we actually have had 3 like official days of it's every Friday night.
Oh, so we're right at the
beginning.
At the get-go.
Yes, literally, it's all just kind of happening, and so it's been really
So
cool.
how does it feel to be at the start of what you know God has for you? Like that feeling inside. What is that? That excitement. That
Yes.
just that you're both on the same. That all 3 of you
Yes.
are on the same page, and you're handing like. I know there's a lot of work involved, but there has to be so much peace
There is.
in what you're doing. That is.
It's the coolest thing. Like I love my husband. He's the best. But I
kind of like him too. He's
so
a cool
good.
guy. Yes.
But I'll tell you, we got married over a fight. Like we fight about everything.
Hey, back up. Like, what was the fight over?
Oh my God. I told him he would never marry me. And so we were literally fighting. And then he's like, go pack your stuff because we were 18. He's like, we're driving to Vegas. And I'm like, Vegas is kind of far. I think Reno would be better. So in our young, dumb 18-year-old minds, we
No way this is real.
we eloped in Reno, Nevada because that's
Off an argument.
Off of an argument.
And 15 years later,
We're still arguing.
going strong. So,
Yes.
I was going to say you're still going strong.
No,
But
we are still going strong. But I'll tell you, so like we are very different. Say Myers-Briggs personality.
Right.
I'm an ENFP. He's a ISTP. So
Okay.
we're almost exactly opposite, which can work really well. But that means
me and my wife are totally opposite. Yeah.
But sometimes you gotta like work your way through it. And so, but this has been like on the same page over everything.
Yeah.
And so it's like I always tell people, follow the peace. Where there's peace, that's where God is. And so it's very comforting and reassuring to know that there's so much peace in this, and exciting, right? Because it's something new and different.
Right. Yeah, that is. That's always fun. So with women out there, like I want to focus on the ladies. You're only my second female guest, and my wife being the first.
Oh, I feel
And
honored.
stuff, but they are my favorite. You guys are a lot more talkative than the guys. But with the ladies out there, there's, not trying to win any brownie points here, but typically women have, especially in ministry, they have a lot more going on in life. Whereas men, like, it's my job. Like,
Yeah.
I go to church to work. That's what I do. And anything outside of that is stuff I choose. Like, whether it's building furniture, going fishing, coaching soccer, like that's stuff I choose to do. Where with women, there's a lot of things you have to do outside of ministry that you don't necessarily get to choose. Like, taking care of the kids, making sure it just naturally falls. Not that only women can do that stuff.
It's true, but it naturally
Falls on taking care of the home, as far as making sure the walls aren't falling down and things are getting done. And men just kind of like, we just overshoot that stuff. We miss the details. It seems
say,
like
good job.
Yeah, we'll cheer you on. You're doing good. But like I used to tell my wife, even on vacation, like like taking care of the kids, like getting them up, getting them ready in the morning, tends to fall on her while I'm still dragging my butt out of bed and stuff.
Hey, you come by it honestly.
Hey, can't help it. It's just ingrained in us, right? Like we can't help it. But with women in ministry, there's all those outside things that they just have, like, they're not fun. I mean, not that you don't enjoy taking care of your kids, but it's not, it's not an activity that you've chosen. It's what you need to do. And then you have ministry, which you choose to do and you love, but a lot of times those they fight against each other. Like you said, Wednesday night, you're, doing school with your youngest and where you could be here helping if you wanted to be, I don't know, it's a dream of yours, but a lot of times the time you spend with your kids and ministry and stuff, it really butts heads. It takes a lot of brain power and a lot of bandwidth, to work both of those. Like they're not just like numb jobs where you can just do it. Like there's a lot involved and stuff. So women out there that are struggling, they're trying to start up a ministry. They're, what was the one, for the
MOPS?
Yeah, MOPS. Like they're trying to do something like that at their church. They're trying to do a young adults ministry. They're trying to do children's ministry, whatever it is. They're trying to pioneer something, but then they're also, growing these kids at home and trying to make sure they still love Jesus. They're trying to make sure the house don't fall apart. They just have all these different plates spinning, and it gets so easy if you're going to drop your dream, take care of the kids and the house, and then they find themselves down the road unhappy, miserable because they lost. Like, what can you say to encourage those ladies that there's still hope? Like, keep going.
I would say it's okay to ask for help, right? Like we do have a lot of plates, but it is okay. I feel like society often tells us that we have to do it all, right? But then at the same time, they tell you to get a job, but then you're also supposed to stay home with your kids. But then if you stay home with your kids, you should be getting a job.
Right.
And so, in it all, follow the peace. And it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
Like we have 4 kids, and actually we have 2 brothers living with us, one of Brad's brothers and one of my brothers. And when it's like dinner time or when I have to do homework, I end up just saying, hey, could you do this for me? Because honestly, as you said, often it does fall on the woman's shoulders. But I think if your wife were to come to you and say, hey, could you take care of this for me?
Oh, it happens all the time.
And you don't say no.
Well, it's not that I don't like.
You just don't think about it.
Right. Like the kids need pants. Like, okay.
I know. And oftentimes as women, because we do it all the time, we assume that
right,
and that you're just choosing not to.
No, we're just clueless.
And it's okay. Sorry.
That's all right.
So in it though, so I've found you just have to ask for it. So it's like every Thursday night I ask my husband to do dinner because that's what's going to help me. I spend Thursday nights doing homework, and then I go and I read to the kids, and then we do prayer time. But it's like, if I can do this homework time without having it cut into our one-on-one time together, then could you do dinner for me? Oh, and they also need showers. And make sure that you sign their planners, right? Like, I kind of have to spell it out.
Right. Make sure they brush their teeth.
Yes.
And floss.
That would be great.
And mouthwash.
And pajamas.
Yeah.
Don't let them sleep in their clothes.
Yeah.
Right? But you do kind of have to walk you through it. But it's not that you don't want to.
Right.
But it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah. Guys are very much wired to think of themselves, and
that's okay. Selfish by nature.
It's not with a bad heart. Yeah, no. It's not at all. It's just I can't explain it. It's just what we do, I guess.
And I'm not a man, so I don't get it. Right. But I understand how to work.
You understand
with
it happens.
Yes. And that's okay.
And as far as asking help, that's where church, getting not just your church, but a community of people. Like I like it. Like I was coming here to Dustin on vacation. I'm not a woman, but we use this example. I was coming here on vacation. I wanted to do a little bit of work. Like the podcast is, personal to me. Just something I enjoy doing, and I wanted the opportunity to do it here. So like I reached out to you and your pastor, and like immediately you guys were like, yeah, we'll help you out. Let's do it and stuff. But I feel like the same as with women in ministry, like reach out to other people and other churches that are in the same situations, like create a community around you where you have that help.
Exactly.
Don't just depend on,
it's not always
the
just
few
the
people in your house.
Right?
Right. Well, then it all becomes to one person, which is totally fine for the majority of the time.
But there are things
but there's things I can't answer.
Yes.
Like there's things that my wife struggled with that I'm not a woman. I don't even understand why you're struggling. Like, let's just, what I forget the saying. It's like, just tuck it in and overpower it, or like, just
that's
get
not
through
always
it.
what we want. Okay?
I know, but for a guy, yes, that's like what we want. We just, and so to have people outside of your home that can,
like
healthy people
True.
that, people that you can really depend on, that love Jesus, that love you and want the best. Because we all know there's people out there that, don't always want the best for others. So be very picky in who you reach out to and stuff. But ask for help. That's...
Yeah. Because like when I was in MOPS and I coordinated it here, I think I had 10 other leaders that I would work with.
Yeah.
And so some of them were just kind of like my go-to people to help me with things, because if I were to do every single job within that ministry,
oh, you'd be done.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
Like it's not even possible.
Yeah.
And so we all need each other to make sure that this stuff works. And so it is okay to ask them for help, right? Because you can't do it all, because you still have kids to take care of, because you still have, other jobs and things that fall on your shoulders.
You have life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when you ask them for help, they feel good. People, do you love to help people?
Yeah.
Right? Like I love to help
do
people.
too.
It's just kind of within us. And
makes you feel good.
Yeah, it does. What's that old saying? It's better to give than to receive.
Yeah.
So when you ask for help, you're helping them because they want to be able to bless you that way.
And that's one thing I had to learn in ministry. I always struggled with, I'm here, all the time. So why would I ask you to come in and do something that takes me like 5 minutes to do? Like I'm already here. Yeah. But it's like, they feel more involved. They get the ownership.
Yes, it's for them, not you.
Yes. That's so good. I want to go back to a question about your marriage and, you and Bradley. So who do you think won the argument?
I did.
You think you did?
Or maybe he did, because he still has me 15 years later. I'm pretty wonderful. I'm just saying.
That's a good point. Looking back over, the last 15 years of doing life ministry and all of you guys as a family and church, I mean, you pretty much started as a family you didn't have much time, just you and him. Big kids. And I'll share the same thing. It don't have to do with ministry. But like, what's one funny, I usually do it at the beginning of the podcast. What's one funny thing that's happened over that time frame, or one crazy story that that you can share?
This was like the one thing that you asked me, and I'm like, okay, what is a funny story? And so it made me think to so part of MOPS Forever, my youngest, I mean, he's the baby of the family, right? So I'm going to tell his story because it was the best, worst thing ever. So it was my last year coordinating of MOPS, and he was 4 at the time, and I was a total health nut, and so his snacks were always very, very healthy. And so I sent him in with a bag of prunes, and I was like, bro, he knows better, right?
Okay. Why would you give your kids prunes?
Because they're good.
Seriously. No, they're not.
I mean, they're not bad. If you've taken a lot of sugar out of your diet, they're very sweet. So he liked the prunes. But so I sent him in with a bag of prunes to the childcare area, because I'm like, I got all this stuff to do. And I was like, only eat 5. Please, only eat 5. You know. And then so he comes out after the end of MOPS, and the bag is empty. And I'm just like, oh God, did you eat all of these? And he's like, well, I shared them with some friends. And I'm like, oh God, okay. So it was like a big bag. And so we finished cleaning up, and we come home, and my poor boy runs to the bathroom, and he had prunes are laxative. Okay. Like, you can only have a little bit, or the fiber in there will get you. So he bolts to the bathroom and was on the toilet for like 20 plus minutes. And then I'm just like,
poor guy.
I don't know what kids he shared these with. So I just had to go and, like, very honestly, on Facebook, I think it was on our page, and I shared it on mine too, because I'm like, I don't know who all was there. So it's like, guys, so I didn't want them to think that their kids were sick.
The kids are sick. I just basically gave them X-Lax.
Yes. It's just like, oh, I'm so sorry. Gunnar was sharing is caring is the way that we talk in our
Yeah,
house.
I mean, that was good of him. That is hilarious.
I about died.
It's probably the best story to date on the show.
Okay, I'm glad.
That is awesome.
Poop stories always win, don't they?
They always win. So I figured I'd never share my funny stories.
Tell me.
Yeah. So this one isn't so much, but anyway, so about 3 years ago, we moved to a new church and, started work, and we got hired on staff there. So our daughter was, 6-year-old daughter was very connected to, her friends and stuff at the church we came from. We were there for several years, and at that point, her whole life. So every once in a while, we'd let somebody take her, keep her overnight, and so she could go to church there on Sunday morning. Well, one Sunday where they were having communion, and she was sitting in the front row next to our old pastor, and they were passing around their little communion cups, and she held it. He prayed over the communion and said, "All right, now you can take the cup." As loud as she could, she looked at the girl next to her, which was the lady that was keeping her, and she goes, "Cheers!" and clicked the glasses.
I love
and I'm
it.
like, yeah, that's...
Oh, to Jesus.
Yeah.
That is the best.
So that was... that's a good way to,
Kids are the best.
They are. They
crack me
They
up.
make you laugh. My son says some of the craziest thing. Out of your three kids, right? Four. I lost one somewhere.
You did. So do I sometimes. It's fine.
So what's the different personalities? Like, we'll do this real quick and then we'll...
So Gavin is my oldest. He is extremely musical.
Okay.
And so he could pick up an instrument and just play it by ear. So, and he's in all honors classes. And
That's amazing.
It fascinates me.
Yeah, it does me too.
We put a piano in his bedroom now, and so you'll just randomly hear him like learning songs.
Yeah,
And
by himself.
By himself.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Or he'll like go from the ukulele and then go over to the piano to see if he can figure it out.
It
there.
amazes me that people can do that.
I know. I'm just jealous, honestly.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
So, and he's really, I don't know. We have the same personality type. Like if you're going Myers-Briggs, he took it the other day and he's an ENFP. And I'm like, I knew it.
He's mine.
Yep, it's my boy. That's my boy. So he's really cool, laid back. And then I have Guinevere, who is very strong.
Love the names, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I love them too. But she's 11, so she's in this preteen phase, right? Like,
That's
we all
fun.
go through it.
Yeah.
It's been very interesting, but she's such a strong personality, and she lives in a house with all boys other than me.
Yeah.
And so she can climb better than they can. She's
You do everything better.
yeah, she's so strong, and it's the coolest. But then, like, she serves in the nursery every Sunday morning. Like, she
That's good.
has like this tender space, and watching her lead little girls is the coolest thing. Like, they love her, and she just she loves to give them that time.
Yeah.
And so, like, we always bring other people's kids to our house. Like, that's a way that I can love them. Like, I love kids.
Right.
So, you want a date night? Yeah.
I
give
hope
me your
so.
kids.
You have a house full.
Yes, exactly. And when you have other people's kids, it kind of breaks up the space of your own home.
Yeah.
They stop fighting. They just go play.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll just bring, like, say, a kindergarten girl, and she's in the 5th grade, and she'll just, like, take her in a room, and they play together. And so she's just really sweet. I call her sweet and spicy. Yeah.
So then your third one.
And then my third one, I have Gallion, and he is very loyal, but he's a leap before I look kind of kid.
Okay.
With a very tender heart.
That's my daughter.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's her. Yes.
It's just impulsive and wild.
Yeah.
But then, like, I would think it was last year, there was a kid that came to school and only spoke Spanish, and Gallion had such a heart for him, so he'd go and he'd read to him, and just like, this is my friend. And I'm like, can you guys talk? And he's like, no, but I'm teaching him. I'm teaching him. And I'm like, I love that he just has an eye for the underdog.
Yeah.
And he wants to pull them up and give
That's
them a
so
friend.
good. Yeah. My daughter's one that will slide down the handrail on a set of stairs and then turn around, walk back up, and help you walk down the steps. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just,
Oh,
she's
they
like
get along
crazy
well.
but loving. Yeah. Yes. So then you have
And
your
then I have
youngest,
the baby, Gunnar Scott.
Gunnar Scott.
Yes, he is. I mean, he's the baby of the family, so
Right.
he very tenderhearted, which comes from
Right.
his mama. But he's funny and playful, and he's a joy to be around. We're still working on, responsibility things. I feel like when you have a large family, like I've worked so hard on the other three,
Yeah.
and then the baby came,
You're
and I'm like,
wore out.
you're
Yeah.
the baby. Let me just take care of
I don't want to like yell at you anymore. I don't want to. I just want to love.
Yes. So he gets a lot of love. But he's
Poor
just,
guy.
he likes it. It's good. I call him Gunny Boo Boo.
I'm sure he appreciates that. Sure he
So
thinks
far,
that's
he
awesome.
doesn't mind. But
So
I'm like,
far.
so far.
I call my daughter Biscuit, and
I
yeah,
love it.
she don't go all like
No.
it's stopped. She don't have a choice now. Mm-hmm. But when she's 16, I'm sure there's going to be a conversation.
That's the thing. When I'm like boo boo or boo, I'm sure that will eventually not be cool anymore.
not
For
anymore.
now, he doesn't mind.
Hey, and wrapping this thing up, it's been an honor. Thank you so much for coming on the show. This was fun. We weren't sure what to expect and stuff because we'd never actually sat down
I know.
together, and
It's been a minute.
it has. It's been a little while. First time I met you was me and my wife met you was 2 years ago at a conference here at your church, and we fell in love with you guys and your family and stuff. So it's been really good. But again, thank you so much. It's
Of course.
a great
Thanks for
honor to have you
having me.
on. If you're not watching, she's got pink hair and amazing personality, and her husband's incredible. The kids are awesome. You know, it's just a blessing to be able to sit down with you. If you don't mind, can you just pray over the audience specifically for, ladies in ministry and,
Yeah.
women that are just struggling to juggle everything and,
I would love to.
laying their dreams down versus doing ministry, and just kind of encourage them.
Yeah,
Thank
I would
you.
love to. So, Father God, we thank you. We thank you for this space and that we get to do this, right? We get to do ministry. We get to have these beautiful families. We get to have these wonderful people that we work with. Father, I just thank you for your heart for us, that you see us in it, and all the different plates that we juggle, all the things that we do, all the stories that we hear, and people that we minister to. I thank you that through all of that, you still see us. Father, I pray over the women listening to this. Father, I pray that you reignite dreams that they may have laid aside, but that you still will have for them. Father, we know that the dreams that are in our hearts are dreams from you. And so, Father, I just pray that you stir the passion back up, that you remind them that you've got them and that you gave them these desires, and that they're not alone. Father, I pray that they know and learn that they can ask for help, that they don't have to be it all. They don't have to be super mom. They don't have to wear all the hats because it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's okay to not do everything. Father, I just thank you for this space. I thank you for the ministries that we get to be a part of, and I just thank you. I thank you for today. So we love you. We honor you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Hey, thanks for joining us today. Please follow us on the Only Jesus social media, Facebook, Instagram. We don't do Twitter. I don't fool with that.
I don't either.
But we have YouTube. So if you're listening to this and you want to see the faces behind the voices, swing over to the Only Jesus YouTube channel. You can see my beautiful mug and enjoy the show. Thanks again. God bless.